All right, so the next step that we're going to do is we're going to find the equation of a line if we're given the point that it goes through and the slope of that line. So problems 31 through 36 are problems of that nature. So let's do a few of those. Suppose I'm given the point 1, 3, and I'm told that the slope is 2/3. Okay, so in my mind, I'm always thinking y equals mx plus b. So the very first thing I do is I'm going to take this 2/3 and I'm going to put it in for the m. My objective in this case is I need to figure out what this y-intercept is. Since I'm given a point, I'm going to put in those values for x and y. My y value is a 3, my x value is a 1. So I'm going to put in a 1 for x, and I'm going to put a 3 in for y. 2/3 times 1 is 2/3 plus b. So my goal, like I said, is to get this b by itself. To do that, I'm going to subtract 2/3 from each side. These make a 0. 3 minus 2/3. Well, there's a couple different ways we could go about doing this. If I'm going to do 3 minus 2/3, one option is to make 3 have a common denominator of 3. To get that, I think about this as being 3 over 1. I'm going to multiply the top and bottom of that fraction by 3. So 9 minus 2 is 7. When I subtract fractions, I subtract the tops. The bottoms stay the same. They must be the same. They have to have a common denominator. So that makes my b 7/3. That means the equation of my line is going to be y equals, fill in the slope, and fill in your b. And that's the equation of my line. Okay, there's another way I could have done my 3 minus 2/3. And you've seen me do this weird fraction stuff before. I'm going to think of that as 3 and negative 2/3. That looks like 3 to the negative 2/3. 3 and negative 2/3. So to do this, I take 3 times 3, which is 9. 9 minus 2 is 7. My fraction is 7/3. Okay, so either way is fine. All right, let's do another problem. Let's say we have the point -8, 4, and let's say my slope is 1/4. So, thinking y equals mx plus b. Always y equals mx plus b. Slope, intercept form of the equation of a line. So, I'm going to fill in 1/4 for my m. I'm going to take this 4, I'm going to put that in for y. I'm going to take this -8 and put it in for x. Keep it in parentheses so you don't lose it. And again, I'm going to solve for b. Well, 1/4 of a -8, or -8 divided by 4, is -2. To get the b by itself, I'm going to add 2 to both sides, and I get b is 6. So now I write the equation of my line. When I write the equation of my line, I fill in my slope, and I fill in my b. Okay? The y and the x are part of the equation. That's that y equals mx plus b format. So you're only filling in values at this point. When you write the equation of the line, you fill in for the slope and you fill in for the y-intercept. Next part is we're going to fill in, or we're going to find the equation of a line if we're given 2 points. So suppose I'm given the point -3, 4, and 7, -2. Okay, in the previous problems, we were given the slope and a point. In this problem, we're given 2 points. So that means the very first thing we need to do is find the slope. Okay, to find the slope, either I stack them and subtract them, or I use the formula. To do this, I'm going to take -2 minus 4 over 7 minus a -3. -2 minus 4 is -6. 7 minus a -3 is 10. This fraction reduces. Both are divisible by 2, so I get -3/5 as my slope. Once I have my slope, and I'll have to write the equation of this line, I'm going to do exactly what I did in the last set of problems. I'm going to fill in the value I got for my slope, and I'm going to pick either point to fill in for x or y. It doesn't matter which point you choose, you pick one. So I'm going to pick this point. My y value is 4. My x value is a -3. So, remember this is multiplication. So, I take, this is like 3 over 1, so I do top times top. -3 times -3 is 9. 5 times 1 is 5. My goal is to figure out what this b value is. So I'm going to subtract 9/5 from both sides. Okay, these make a 0. So now I have 4 minus 9/5. If I'm going to subtract fractions, I need a common denominator. So 4 over 1, if I need a 5 on the bottom, I'm going to multiply the top and bottom of this by 5. That gives me 20 over 5. 20 minus 9 is 11. So I get 11/5. That makes my b 11/5. The equation of my line is going to be y equals whatever my slope was, and I fill in my new b. I write it as a plus because this is positive. Okay? If I had decided to do this the wacky way, 4, and I'm going to think of 4 and -9/5. I take 5 times 4, I get 20. 20 minus 9 is 11. Okay? So, you can either do it this way, or you could do it by finding a common denominator. Either way, at the end, you have the equation of your line. So let's do another example like that. So I'm given 2 points. First thing I need to do is figure out my slope. So I'm going to take 8 minus 3, and a negative 2 minus a negative 2. 8 minus 3 is 5. Negative 2 minus a negative 2 is negative 2 plus 2. That makes this a 0. What happens when I end up with a 0 on the bottom? I have an undefined slope. So that means this is a vertical line. Anytime that you have an undefined slope, you have a vertical line. All vertical lines come in the form x equals. If you're trying to figure out what this x equals, look at your x values. They're both negative 2. That's the equation of my line. All right, let's look and see what happens when we have a horizontal line. And how do we write that equation? Okay, again, I want to write the equation of a line. So the very first thing I have to do is figure out what this slope is. So I'm going to put my y value on top, the other y value on top, negative 17 minus a negative 18. 4 minus 4 is 0. Negative 17 minus a negative 18 is negative 17 plus 18, which is 1. Because the 0 is on the top, 0 divided by anything is 0. My slope is 0. That tells me this is a horizontal line. All horizontal lines come in the form of y equals something. I look at my y values, and that tells me exactly what my equation is. Now, when you get good at doing these problems, whether you're dealing with a vertical line or a horizontal line, you're going to get to the point where you see that, hey, if my y values are exactly the same, they have the same sign, then this has to be a horizontal line. Same deal if I have two x coordinates the same. That tells me automatically this is a vertical line. So I really don't have to go through all of that. That's when you get good and you can recognize these two are exactly the same. It's got to be a vertical line. Okay.